What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tino here, and we're here today to begin our third season of our Road to WrestleMania series as we come here every week and we talk about the matches that are going down. We talk about Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and all the other shenanigans that are going on in the professional wrestling world. And today, we're not alone, and we got a guest on our show, and we got a lot to get to. So let's not waste any more time, guys. And let's welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time. It's been way too long. And the last time we saw this guy, he was doing it. He had to restart his channel. And now he's big time. He's joined the club of 1K and he's doing his thing. Let's welcome back to the channel. It's Kicking It with Leo.
Yo,
Well, what do you think, Leo? Was that good?
I love it. It was a great. Yeah, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 intro.
Yeah, love it. So, Leo, if you want to catch everybody up, how are you doing? How have you been? It has been a while. I think the last time you were on the channel was when we did the WrestleMania press conference last year when The Rock and Cody slapped each other.
Man.
So,
It's crazy.
it's been a
It
while.
really, when you really think about it, it has been like a long time. It was like around this time, like last year, that you guys saw me on his channel, you guys. And yes, a lot of your subscribers or fan base have been reaching out to me just like saying, when are you gonna come back on Tino's time? We miss you over there. And I'm like,
That's
okay,
funny.
I'm gonna make it happen. It's just gonna take some time, a lot more time than I expected it to be. I mean, like, I'm in a new place, so it took some time to get that into motion. Plus, like you said, reaching 1,000 subscribers on the day of Royal Rumble, which we talked about off screen, which is crazy. I knew I was going to reach it, but not at the pace that I was going at. I Within a year, I got into 1,000, which was crazy. It's been really
You
surreal,
had a
man.
goal last year. We were talking about, you said, that, what was it, like 10,000 or something like that? And you just never
Yeah,
know.
man.
So, but yeah, so how are you feeling about, we'll start off with this because what I
hmm
feel like and what I've heard a lot this year, we'll get to the comments. What's up, J Dog? I feel like people have not been as excited about this build to WrestleMania as much as they were last year. So how do you
hmm
feel about that? And do you have a feeling that has a lot to do with obviously The Rock being involved a lot more last year than he was this year, and he's been a part of it this year, but we haven't
Right.
really got anything, and I don't know what the hell. We'll talk about taking souls later, but yeah. So how do you feel about
Ex-
the build this year compared to last year?
Um, I will say the overall build to this year is very much different from last year. I feel like there was a lot of excitement going in, especially because there was a lot of stories that they were trying to tell going into that show. What it was like, who was going to face Roman Reigns? Was it going to be The Rock? Was it going to be Cody? Was it going to be an iteration of both guys in the match? Which was something a lot of people were building towards. Um, this year, I will say it's kind of been underwhelming. I feel like in a sense, but I feel like it still can turn around. It can all turn around easily. I will say that. We said, a lot of things are starting to take place. I feel like people have to understand that we're not going to know what's going to happen. People, as a fan, always want to assume what's going to happen at WrestleMania. A lot of people, whether that's good or bad, but I think it should be more unpredictable. Like, we shouldn't know what's going to happen. They can go in numerous different directions before they get to an ultimate goal at WrestleMania, which is which we're building to. Chamber is starting to be more unpredictable compared to previous years in the sense of right now we're looking at one of the most stacked chamber matches in quite some time for both men and women. Then the Royal Rumble itself, I think really, Tino, how I look at it, people are justifying it because of who won the Royal Rumble matches, not really thinking of what we could potentially be getting come WrestleMania. People look at Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble and people automatically want to turn because it's not who they wanted it to be. I think people have to understand that not everybody's going to be on WrestleMania, and if they are on WrestleMania, that's still a win nonetheless because they're going to get that big paycheck.
Yeah, and so as Booker T likes to say, it's all about that checks and the championships. So
Exactly.
and I think that's the thing. People are upset about Jay and everything, but that's what the Royal Rumble and stuff has been about, is about
Mm-hmm.
building new stars. And we haven't seen that in a long time, where I feel like the last people that kind of were stars like that, like when like Ray won in 2006. I know I'm not allowed to mention his name, but guys like Chris Benoit and guys like I can't even think of. I
Even
mean, I mean,
yeah,
shit. Even Alberto Del Rio winning in 2011, even though it
yeah,
wasn't the greatest idea. I mean, he was a new starter they could have built. And Jey Uso is the most over man in WWE right now.
for
I mean,
years.
there's people that I don't that don't even watch wrestling that are saying yeet. I mean, it's just like it's
People
everywhere.
don't understand it. He's one of the most over in the company. He's been like that for years at this point, since like what, 2023.
Yeah.
So you had to do something.
I mean, yeah. And we are officially on the road. We do have some matches that are official. We got Gunther and Jey Uso. We got Tiffany Stratton taking on Leo's favorite. We all remember the rant of Leo with Charlotte Flair.
Yeah,
But
man.
we still have the Elimination Chamber, and we have two Elimination Chamber matches. We have a lot of stuff that's going to be going down and everything else. And
Yeah.
we are what? How many days exactly are we away? Well, we're 58 something days away to
Yeah, we're
WrestleMania,
58 days away
something
roughly
like
from
that. I mean,
WrestleMania.
it's sick how fast we're already coming up again already to it. But
Literally.
there's been a lot of other things going down, and since the last time that you were on the channel and everything, we've had the TNA and WWE contribution, and
Mm-hmm.
NXT's been on fire a little bit lately. So
Yeah.
I figured we could talk a little bit about NXT, because yes, NXT does count as on the road to WrestleMania. They're still stand and deliver and everything. And I think what happened last Tuesday is something we got to talk about, because at Roadblock, we're getting two big meaty men slapping meat as we get Oba Femi taking on the X Division champion in WWE. It is, or Oba Femi, the NXT champion, taking on the X Division champion in TNA, Moose. TNA and WWE having this contribution and
Mm-hmm.
agreement and everything else. How do you feel about it? I mean, you already know I'm excited. My favorite tag team's
I'm,
returning on Tuesday.
yeah,
So
I'm
I'm
really excited. I'm very excited. It just shows that how have the times have changed in the WWE under a new regime. I mean, we can all agree in the previous regime, this would not even be an idea or a thought, but now it's a reality. Um, and we're seeing, and this is a good thing, I feel like, for both sides, because both sides can get more
March
exposure from the
11th,
other.
J Dog.
We're getting a dream match. When they first, announced that we were going to get a TNA and NXT merger, I was excited because of the potential matches that we could be getting, and the match that I always was happy to hear, or I always would think about, is once we get Obafemi and Moose. And people called me crazy for a long time, but now it is a reality, and we're getting that at NXT Roadblock, which I'm looking forward to. I think these two are really going to cook. I know on TNA this coming week we do have a 6-man tag match, which will be the System and Moose taking on the Hardy Boys and Obafemi, which is going to be really interesting as they do, potentially set up that match as well. So I think it's really going to be a really big show compared with, like, we're gonna get a lot of things. You know what I'm thinking? And I feel like we're gonna potentially get more people being brought over to NXT or vice versa. We talked about it before we went live. Potentially, we could be getting Ash and Heather over in NXT for a little bit. I think that is a possibility now more than ever. So I mean, overall, I think it's a good thing for both companies, especially for TNA, to get that exposure from a bigger company, and hopefully it expands. That's my personal opinion. I wanted to see it expand, not just from NXT, but to the main roster. Having main roster people be able to go down to TNA, or TNA people to show up for a little stint on the main roster, even as well. But that might be a stretch. But at the very least, NXT and TNA are definitely putting up some really good stuff, and we're gonna get more and more. One of the matches that they're already trying to tease currently is the Hardy Boys facing on Fraxton. When we do get that match, I'm telling you that match is going to slap.
No, and I think that's the biggest thing is, for a second there, I felt like there was a lot more TNA going to NXT than anything. But now you see where guys from NXT like Corey Jade,
Mm-hmm.
Obafemi, people like that are now going over to TNA, where now it kind of gives people like me that maybe might not watch TNA a lot because I keep up with it, but like I always talk about, there's a lot of wrestling on a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, but it would more of like give me, you know what I mean? I might check in on Thursday now to watch that 6-man tag team match because, and that's just more eyes on TNA that you may not have, that it just, and I mean, it brings into the fact if you really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, shoot, even for 2K25, we might get a TNA DLC pack with Joe Hendry and
Hopefully,
Jordan Grayson. I mean,
please do.
that's something that we never thought we would even happen. Or the fact that you talked about main roster, somebody like an AJ Styles to go back down to TNA that we have not seen in forever. And that's I know that's what I remember AJ Styles from. Because people were, when he showed up in 2016, there was a lot of people that like,
They didn't
and
know who it was.
yeah, I mean, they did, but they also, like, he was that TNA guy and he was this and that. But he did a lot of great and crazy things. And, that short hair AJ Styles was different, different breed out
I,
there.
I I always get goosebumps every time I see a picture of like the shorter hair AJ Styles when he came in 2016. I'm like, can we really go back to that version of AJ,
I want
please?
to get like short hair AJ Styles. Like, let's get
Oh,
like
like
some, yeah, like,
2010,
yeah, like
2011.
old AJ Styles, like WCW AJ Styles, right? Yeah,
It's a possibility.
I
It's
mean,
a
you never
possibility. Never
know.
say never.
Listen, John Cena cut his hair and looking like he's freaking 2007 over there. But man, I need that guy. I need him to return sooner rather than later. But
Yeah,
anyway, next week. Hopefully he stays after that because I'm tired of these movies. We have them.
they
I,
did
I'm tired.
say they did say that he could potentially be in the lead up to WrestleMania. He might be there a little bit more frequent. So probably after Chamber, we'll probably get a little bit more concrete of what they're gonna do.
He freaking better, man. Because I
Because
can't
they
I
said it's
can't.
till spring. At least until spring, he's gonna have to do these movies. So probably once spring hits, then we should be good. So
Yeah,
probably like March,
I know.
sometime around there, heading into Mania, will be set.
Hopefully we'll see what happens with Mr. Thugonomics Word Life. I really hope he does go out and he has some type of like he has like, so he brings back like some part of each character that he had, like the
Hmm.
Thugonomics, the this, the that. Oh, I think there would be some, even Fruity Pebbles would be funny if he like.
I feel like we're about to see a new Cena though. I don't think we're gonna see that Cena for a long time. I feel like somebody brought it to my attention, and we'll talk about it later with the whole Rock thing. But somebody said we could be potentially be seeing the unveiling of a corporate Cena,
I mean,
which I'm not
corporates.
mad at.
What about we just have a faction of Cody Rhodes, The Rock, and John Cena? How about we just do that?
That would be an unbeatable faction, though.
What do you
You have to
end the
be like a
careers?
Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, and Seth or something like that coming together. But we know that's not gonna happen. It had to be
I
something
mean,
along the lines of that for them to take them down.
yeah.
Roman's gonna be in the mix for sure. I feel like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and okay, I'm gonna ask you this question: do you think, while you mentioned that, do you think Roman Reigns cost Seth Rollins the Elimination Chamber on Saturday to set up a WrestleMania match?
I would say yes. I would say yes because I know a lot of people have been saying we're gonna get a triple threat between Roman, um, Rollins, and Punk. And my problem with that is it's not even just a match because I know the match is going to be really good because of the talent that we do have involved in the match. But it's just like, what is the stakes of this triple threat match taking place? Is it for a championship? Like, I don't want a triple threat match just for the sake of having one. When there is no title, it's a match like that, a title needs to be involved. And at this state in the game, we're not going to see that. So, me personally, I think Punk potentially could do something else. What if that's fighting a Logan Paul or competing for a championship, whatever that may be? I think the story that we need to see happen going into WrestleMania 40, one is Rollins and Reigns. I think that's the feud that they've been able to garner up is going to be really interesting, playing off the history with the Shield. Even what we had last year at WrestleMania 40, where if it wasn't for Reigns taking this out the ball to get hit Rollins with the chair, he probably would have retained the WWE Championship. And because of Rollins, he's no longer champion. So now we can have these two almost like what they did with at
Honestly, I
WrestleMania
didn't even
28
think
with
about that
Triple
too.
H and Undertaker. Like with Triple H and Undertaker at WrestleMania 28, it was almost like a end of an era. This can be an end of an era type of situation as well between Rollins and Reigns and stuff like that. And I think that'd be a combination to that feud because I think Reigns can finally be able to slay the one demon that he has not been able to conquer, and that is Seth Rollins. We look at the history. Rollins has always gotten the upper hand from a physical perspective, winning matches, and even a mental state as well. So I think having the story where Roman has to overcome all of that going into WrestleMania 40 to finally get the win, I think that'd be a really cool thing to see happen.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, there's so many different ways that this can go right now. We still don't know. We don't know what the hell is going to happen next Saturday. I mean, like I said, I thought I knew what was exactly going to happen at the Royal Rumble. And I always say, never get your expectations too high because, I mean, like, it's just one of those things that I just be very interesting to see what they do with those guys. And I mean, we've heard so many different matches where we could see Cena and Logan. I've heard that
Yep.
we're getting Rollins and Roman. We're gonna get Punk and, like you said, Logan. And we don't. I mean, we don't, there's so many different combinations that could happen. But I feel like a lot of it will be also told on what happens in the Elimination Chamber,
That's
on
really
who
gonna be
pins
dope.
who costs who. I mean, because if you remember the last 3 years, 2 years, we've had somebody cost somebody out of the Elimination Chamber. 2 years ago, Seth got
Yeah.
cost by Logan, and last year AJ got caught, or LA Knight got
Cost the
cost by
LA man,
AJ
yeah.
Styles. AJ Styles
Mm-hmm.
said, "I'm gonna fly all the way down to Saudi just to take your ass out because I felt like it." And that's another thing. Like, we haven't even talked about like all the other things going on for like WrestleMania. Like, what's going on for the U.S. title, the IC title, the
I,
women's U.S. title, the women's
you
IC
know,
title. I mean,
I,
I think we should do Braun Breaker against AJ Styles for the IC title.
what I'm thinking is, okay, I think for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, I think we are still going to be seeing Becky versus Lyra. I think that might be the play for that championship. The U.S. title for the women is a little bit more uncertain because I know they're trying to tell the story between Piper Niven potentially turning on Chelsea because Chelsea is starting to become a new face in the women's division. So you have that story there. But it's like
Right.
we've been seeing multiple women wrapped around that. We've seen um, Piper, she might throw her name in the hat. We've been seeing B-Fab. We've been seeing Michin. We've been
I love
seeing
that.
we could potentially get Zelina Vega in the mix. So because she's have her story where she wants to win a title. So maybe you have put all those women in a ladder match. I think that would kind of be cool. Um
They
the
need to make a
US,
ladder match every year. I don't care if it's for one title, like,
I
even the
think
tag title, like the way they
I
did the
think we're gonna
tag
get
titles
two ladder
last year.
matches. I think we're gonna get two ladder matches. I feel like
You
the
think so?
men's US, I think
You think they spoil us that much? I mean, I don't know.
I feel like maybe having one per night, I think will be okay. Because
Nothing
if
wrong
you
with
look
it
at the
for
IC,
me.
you've been having multiple people wrapped around that title. You have AJ now in the mix. You have, Penta. You have Louis Kaiser. You have Pete Dunne who might want that title. Based on what happened last week, we seen that spirit of Dominic. Dominic might not be letting that slide so easy, so he might want to throw his name in the hat. And we're still haven't got to can't forget about Sheamus, who still is on his quest of becoming Intercontinental Champion. So maybe you throw all those stories in there and let all those guys go at it. I think that'll be the play for sure. I think at least one of those titles is gonna have a ladder match, whether if it's the US or an IC. I feel like we're gonna get two. I feel like it's safe to say we're going to get two ladder matches, maybe one on night one on night two, one for the mid card title or something like that, and one for the women's mid card title. I think a plethora of that happening is going to probably see how it going.
Yeah. And I just feel I just really, the one thing I'm just hoping with, because there are just so many titles now, I just hope everybody gets some type of something or another, and some type of even
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
tag, even like the tag division hasn't been that strong. But I feel like what they're doing on SmackDown, especially like what they're at least like Pretty Deadly's being involved, and Santos,
Mm-hmm.
Humberto, and Angel are being involved. Like, I feel like we're leading to some multi-man tag team match again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like the fact that, again, like, like the 3 hour shows, like, they're getting kind of like,
Stale.
maybe yesterday just flew by because of The Rock, but I mean, I think I'm just getting used to it at this point, and this and
Um.
that. But I mean, the biggest thing is it's giving people time to be able to do stuff. But there's
Yeah.
also stuff that is not being used, and there is, so
And it, and you got a point there. I feel like what it goes back to is like we've seen recently in the past 2-3 weeks we have releases, and my problem with that is I don't understand why are we releasing talent.
which release upset you the most?
I think the release that may upset me the most, shockingly enough, was Isla Dawn. because
Facts.
it's like they were kind of could have led to something with them being on NXT, and even Cedric, even because he just re-signed a new contract. So it's
Yeah.
like,
And he was on NXT doing something, and then Ashanti decided that he was going to go hook up with Nikita and Carmen, and then Cedric
yeah.
disappeared again.
And even like Electra Lopez, even though she wasn't really like an in-ring capacity, but like she was still there. And even with AOP, like you released another talent that you could have used to be in that tag team division and pretty much be an anchor for that tag team division, if you want to be honest, and you don't have that right now. So it's like, what is the point of having a 3-hour show if we're releasing talent and so on and so forth? We can use those talents to help bolster up these rosters. What if it is for the tag title division? What if it is for the singles division? And speaking of singles competitors, Blair Davenport was another shocking one because I feel like they never really gave her a chance to do much of anything.
I think that one
And
made me
my
the
problem,
most
and it
mad.
goes back to this as well. If we are going to be bringing up talent, right? If we're not going to have a plan for these men and women, don't bring them up at all. If
Well,
you do
well,
not have a plan, don't
did you
bring them
did
up
you
to the main roster.
did you hear the reasoning on why they released these superstars?
Well, because they're planning on making room for NXT call ups.
Yeah. So it's
That's
like,
that's that's dumb.
what are we
That's so
calling people
dumb.
up for if we're just gonna like
And it's
Roxanne
dumb,
Perez?
bro. It's
Roxanne
dumb.
Perez is the
Like,
perfect example. That's the way that people should be getting used, is being like, because if Roxanne would have lost right away, she would have been lost in the shuffle. But now
yeah,
people, I mean, even last night they're saying it's 5 champions and a prodigy. I mean, that's the perfect way because people are like, who's the prodigy? And people are gonna finally realize who the hell Roxanne Perez is after
she's the
I've
whole
been trying to tell
story.
people who the hell she is for 5 years now, or 2, 3 years now. And, obviously, because it's hard, people don't watch
It's one of
NXT a
those
lot.
things when
But
you look at Roxanne. I think she's gonna have a similar spot to Tiffany Stratton of last year, because Tiffany Stratton, she was like the
man,
new person coming in, and she had that
yeah,
brilliant performance in the chamber, and that proceeded to start the rise of
I
Tiffany
know.
Stratton. I think
Now
we're
it's
gonna be
Tiffy time almost.
replicating that with Roxanne. Maybe we do see Roxanne potentially win the Money in the Bank contract this year. I think if we're looking at the current landscape, I think she should be a front runner to potentially win that. But it just goes back to what we were saying. If you are going to be bringing these men and women up from NXT to main roster, if you don't have any plans for them, leave them in NXT, because at least in NXT they were getting some type of exposure. They were being on TV every single week for the most part. They were in storylines. You look at Blair Davenport, I feel like she was kind of brought up prematurely too early to the main roster. If she would have stayed in the on NXT, she probably would have been one of the front runners to potentially win the NXT North American Women's Championship. I think she should have won that title. So I don't want to see this being a continuing process every single time it comes around to the WWE draft or a superstar shakeup or a transfer portal, whatever you want to call it. We're bringing up people to the main roster and we don't have plans for them. And then they're left by the wayside with nothing to do. And they might get put on TV for like almost 3 weeks. And after that, they're gone. They're probably relegated to main event or WWE Speed and then ultimately released.
Yeah.
Like, we cannot keep doing that. This is starting to get back to what it used to be back then when Vince was running things, where you would bring somebody up and they pretty much had maybe one storyline and that was it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing with Blair. She started, like mentioned Isla Dawn. They started to do something with Isla, Alba, and Blair, and that could have worked, especially with, like, obviously they're doing Naomi, Jade, and Bianca. We don't know who attacked Jade, aka Naomi or Bianca. We'll figure that out on Monday, apparently.
I
But
probably say Chamber will find that out.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking that Jade's gonna like music's gonna hit or something, and she's gonna cost one of them or something,
Or
like, But
both of them, I feel like.
I mean, like, that's the biggest thing, like, with these people, and that's just like that's why I was so happy Roxanne won on Monday, because she would have definitely got lost in the shuffle if
Well,
she did.
she didn't.
And I see J Dog mentioning J Dog. I will get to all your questions after we're done chatting and everything else. But J Dog just asked, "What's Trick gonna do?" Because I feel like the best thing for
Um,
what would be with Trick is to do something with Mello. But now they got Mello Don't Miz, so I don't know what we're fucking
what I
doing with
think
Mello
is
now.
gonna happen is potentially with Trick. I don't think they're gonna bring him up to the main roster until after Mania.
Yeah. Probably a Raw
because I
after
feel like you still have
Wrestle.
Roadblock and you still have Stand and Deliver, and I feel like he's in this feud with Eddie Thorpe right now, so I think that's his thing right now. And then Roxanne just got called up and whatnot, so I think they're gonna try to build that up. I wouldn't mind seeing Carmelo and Trick, get back together, but I feel like it's not gonna be anytime soon. I'd much rather Trick be on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And what that's a Trick on SmackDown, Trick on Raw, and then leave Melo on SmackDown.
Oh, so you think they should be separate from each other? Okay.
Separate them for now. That way they can forge their own paths and whatnot, and then maybe come together in the lead up to maybe WrestleMania 42 or 43.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you on that one. And I know we're kind of going all over the place, but I do want to talk about also speaking of NXT while we're on NXT. What do you think about the absolute one making his shocking debut, Mr. Ricky Saints, not Ricky Starks? And do you hate
I
the
mean,
name change? Do you like it? And how do you feel? Because
um,
obviously he is from Louisiana, so
exactly, New Orleans to
it's
be specific. Um, a lot of people have been, in limbo or just in outrage of the name. Look, I always say this, and I said it. I said it even when it happened. The name change is not bad at all, in my personal opinion. Let's be honest, there have been some way worse name changes we can all agree on. There's been way worse. Like, let's be honest. So, for me to sit here and say Ricky Saints is bad, no. And honestly, it makes sense for him to have the Ricky Saints name. Like, think about it. If this was the Vince McMahon era, he'll be coming to NXT calling him just Saints. Like,
you're not
no,
wrong. You're not wrong. You're
they won't
not
even
wrong.
call him Ricky Saints. He's just gonna be called the Absolute Saints,
Or just absolute.
or the Absolute, the Revolution Saints. No.
The Revolution Saints. This is gonna be. It's gonna.
So it's like the name isn't all bad. Yes, for me personally, because I did know him as Ricky Starks in NWA and being on AEW. I'm used to the Ricky Starks name, but we got to understand when these guys and girls come over, you know, every sometimes things need to change. Maybe they want to have their own identity. Look what they instead of like look what they're doing with Lex King. He wanted to be called Lexus King. He wanted to forge his own path. He wanted to be not just Brian Pillman Jr. He wanted to be his own man. And I
Yeah,
can respect that. And I think the same thing can be said for Ricky Starks or Ricky Saints now. He wants to be his own man. He wants to get away from the identity that he may have had in AEW and forge his own path as Ricky Saints in the WWE.
yeah, and I mean, there's even people like Io Sky that was Io Shirai, or Gunther that was Gunther and Walter was one that people cried about forever, and I was upset about it too. But I mean, that's the biggest
But it
thing. I
fit.
mean, these people. They're making their own paths, and as long as it's nothing crazy, and yes, I know people are upset because Ethan Page kept Ethan Page and Shawn Spears kept Shawn Spears, but I'm sure there's more, whatever, and this and that. And if the wrestlers are okay with it, then you know what? Then that's fine with me. I'm still gonna call him Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints. Sure I'll get confused. I still say
Yeah.
Micha Mia Yim, even though she's now just Mia Yim, whatever, or Meacham, whatever the hell. So, or Alba Fire was Kylie Ray Lee. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen, and huh?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's what's
Oh,
really
okay.
going to happen.
Oh, I thought you said something. I was like, so. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things going down right now. But I did want to mention something about AEW because this is
Right.
not just WWE and everything else. Let's talk about a little wrestling. Did you see that Shane McMahon ghosted Tony Khan?
Yeah, I think the whole thing behind that, he wanted to take ownership of AEW. Now, I don't know how it would look, but I'm gonna be very honest. AEW, they're having they've been on a downward spiral, right? For like the last couple years. And it's not even really the talent that they have because they have some of the best talent all around. It comes down to creative and booking. The booking of these characters are abysmal. Like, you have people be on TV, have a good storyline off television for a year plus. Like, and now you're seeing people want to leave because whatever reason it may be. It's not a good look as a company and as a business guy behind the company if you're hosting talent back if they want to be left go. Now I understand if they're in contract, the person has the right to say or do whatever they want. If they want to keep you, they can keep you. But if at the end of the day, you should be trying to create a positive environment backstage. Why do you think people look at AEW as a company where it's a lot of stuff going on backstage? Like, it's not healthy, where everybody's in it for themselves. They're not trying to help everybody else up. It's really pretty much every person for themselves. And you look at some of these guys and girls that are doing this in AEW, we both know for a fact they're trying to pull this in WWE. They're getting out. They're going to tell you get out automatically. There is no time for that. And if you're trying to better your company, you need to be doing everything to literally better your company. Like, we look
Yeah.
at 2020, I want to say 2019, 2020. This company was seen on the same level of WWE. The reason being because WWE was really poor at the time, let's be honest. But now WWE is the best that it's ever been. Is it perfect? Not by a long shot. But if we can all sit here and agree that WWE right now is way more watchable now compared to what it was within the previous regime. Like, let's
I
be
mean,
honest.
all, and I think the biggest thing is all of it is digestible. Where even like, yes, it's 3 hours, but like last night, yes, maybe it had to do with The Rock, but I felt like it was like a decent show to where like I looked at the clock at one point, and I'm like, oh shit, it's already 9 o'clock, and for
Yeah.
a long, I mean, let's be real, Leo. Me and you sat through how many awful Raws and Smackdowns together, just sitting there wanting to
Yeah,
rip our
man.
ears out and cry, but we did it. It's like going through a rebuild of a sports team. I feel like is what we're kind of
Yeah.
going through, and we're kind of like now finally. I mean, I wouldn't know what a rebuild is with my sports teams because they all suck. But like, I finally feel free that like I can finally wrestling is good again. And even the Michael Cole interview with Logan Paul that Michael Cole just had, where he talked about it, where this wouldn't have been able to happen, or Michael Cole dabbing up rappers, or dabbing up Jay Uso, or
Yeah.
yeeting, or crowd surfing, or all these things, or and that's just the biggest thing where WWE finally feels like it's where it needs to be, to where people are every type of generation is watching, kids, adults, moms, dads, grandmas, grandparents, that
Mm-hmm.
this is where everybody wanted it to be, but Vince just did not want it to get there. And thank goodness for Triple H, because as you mentioned, if Vince was in charge, God, who knows what
We
WrestleMania
don't know
40 would.
what would the WWE be looking like right now. Like,
It
let's
would be
be honest.
Austin Theory against fucking Logan Paul for the world champion or some shit. I mean,
You,
let's
I
be
would
real
not be
here.
surprised, and especially we would not be getting TNA working with the WWE. We would not
No,
be getting these companies working with
no.
the WWE. We know
CM
how
Punk
Vince
said he
McMahon
would not come
operates.
back. The Hardy Boys would not have come back. Like I think there's so many people that would not have been.
We would have probably gotten a bunch of releases. At least the releases that we have been getting, even though they suck, like at least those weren't people, that
It wasn't
they
like a
weren't
Bray
doing
Wyatt.
anything with.
Like when Bray Wyatt got released, like that was
When
like
they released
shock.
Braun Strowman, when they released Bray Wyatt, Aleister Black, like,
Oh,
we're
he's
releasing
another
big
one.
stars.
I think he's coming back sooner rather than later. Do you think he's the member of the Judgment Day that everybody keeps chatting about? They're saying they
I
need a new
feel
member.
like it is because I did see potentially the one of the matches that there's two specific matches that they're going with for Mania. And it's the one of them is Dominic versus Finn, which I would not be mad at, and Dominic becomes the new
I
leader.
was thinking, I was wondering what Dominic was going to do at Mania. Okay.
Or Alistair versus Finn. But they also been saying we might, according to WrestleVotes, I think at the time, we were doing SmackDown yesterday, one of the reports was they wanted to do AJ versus Finn at a
Yeah.
WrestleMania. Now, we know those two have chemistry for days, but I
Did
would
you
not be mad at Alistair Black versus Finn Balor. I would not. And I feel like if you really look at the Judgment Day where they are right now, and we've seen Alistair Malachi come from AEW. He had the House of Black, and he helped elevate everybody that was involved in that faction. And he put them on a different level to what they were before. Like, we look at Julia Hart. She was literally almost she was a jobber. But being with Alistair and being in that faction helped elevate her to being like a mid-card champion and potentially going on forward, maybe she might become a world champion in the future. It helped Buddy Matthews reinvent himself, and it helped what's his name?
Brody King.
The Brody King elevate himself as well in the sense of being the monster that he can be. So who's to say that he can't come over to WWE and join the Judgment Day and help shape up the Judgment Day and pretty much reestablish them as being what they used to be, a dominant faction that was against everybody. He can come back with a serious type of character where he, comes back, he helps Dominic reinvent himself and become more serious. He can potentially help Liv Morgan become more serious again, even though she kind of is serious, but maybe double down on that,
Oh, I'm
becoming a
sure
little
you're
bit more
loving all of
serious.
this, Liv Morgan. We haven't seen you. We haven't seen you since Liv won the title. We haven't seen you since Liv lost the title. We haven't seen
I
you
know,
when Liz
man.
was champion. I mean, Liv
I
just went through a
mean,
whole transformation in a
I feel
year.
like the thing is with Alistair, it could do a lot of good for the Judgment Day and all the people that are involved in it, as far as potentially taking them where they are now and maybe putting them on a different level. We know Dominic has all the potential in the world to become a world champion at some point, and hopefully, if my prediction is correct, hopefully it is, because I've been predicting some stuff and this actually came true. I'm predicting that this year in 2025, Dominic Mysterio becomes your Mr. Money in the Bank. So hopefully they do pull the trigger and have him win. Don't think it's gonna happen.
Man,
I feel like there's so many people that are potentially in the running, like Carmelo and Braun Breaker, maybe even Finn Balor if he turns face. I would not mind that. Finn Balor deserves to get his one opportunity and get that championship.
he does.
But I
He
think
needs that championship back sooner rather than later.
But I think Dominic as a heel, a despised heel, would be so cool. Now, I threw this idea, I think, a couple of times in other streams and stuff like that. But I'm gonna throw this idea to everybody in here and YouTube as well, Tino. Now, imagine we don't see Cena win the Chamber, because I think, me
Aww.
personally, I think Cena needs to have an arc of this in a story where he's struggling, right? He struggled to
Yeah.
win the Royal Rumble. He struggles to win the Chamber, and he struggles to win King of the Ring. He struggles to win Money in the Bank, and it creates sympathy, right? It creates the fans being sympathetic with Cena because now they want to see him win that championship even more than they already may have wanted to. He does win it at SummerSlam, but he loses it the same night he wins it, because if Dominic Mysterio wins the briefcase and being the heel that he is, now I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but Tina, you got to understand
The
how much
PTSD I'm having right now with Cena winning the Chamber and Edge cashing in, or Cena winning
no,
the
because think
Chamber and
about it.
Batista cashing
It'll be a
in.
lot of great tie-ins too, because now you can have Dominic be like the new Ultimate Opportunities. He cashed in on Cena the same night he won it, and if he was a face for some reason, right, and Cena was a heel, this would be the ultimate payback. You know why? Because think about all the way back to 2011. Rey Mysterio, who is Dominic Mysterio's, in Dominic Mysterio's words, his deadbeat dad, lost the WWE Championship to John Cena the
I'm
same night he won it.
fucking dead.
Dominic may have been there and he have seen that multiple times, and he says, you know what? He took the
Long-term
title from you.
storytelling.
I'm going to take the title from him. I think that'd be a cool little callback if he was a face. But I think it's better for Dominic to be heel. But if they wanted him to be face, I think that'd be cool as well.
I mean, long-term storytelling. You love to see it. I mean, that's only something that fans like us and the people who've been watching for a long time that would know, or that people have went back and watched it. Because I mean, that's the type of stuff though too, like that. Like I like that, like like even like with like Randy and Cody. Like we don't know what the hell Randy's gonna do. Like there's rumors that
Yeah,
Randy's gonna face Cody, or not Randy's gonna face Cody. I'm sorry, Randy's gonna face
Kevin.
Kevin. And then I was thinking about it too last night. I was like, why aren't they doing Sammy and Kevin at Mania? They're doing Sammy and Kevin in freaking Canada. That's why they're doing it.
That might be
The
why,
Chamber.
because they want to still do that. But it's just like,
So
if they want to do Sammy and KO at Mania, which I'm not mad at. It's like, what do you do with Randy? You know what I mean?
yeah,
And if you
yeah,
do Randy and KO, what do you do with Sammy?
yeah.
But I think based on what we're seeing, it might be underwhelming. But it looks like they might do Sammy and Karrion Kross at Mania.
I mean, listen. People can hate whatever they want. I love carrying Cross since
Same.
day one is. So listen, this man finally being involved in AOP being released sucks, but I mean, they obviously see something. Triple H is a carrying Cross guy, you know damn well. I mean, and even the fact that like DIY is the tag team champions, and like Tiffany, like there's a lot. Like I was even thinking, and I was talking to like people watching like retros and stuff like that. Like most of the people that are now champions and now they're doing everything are people that are from NXT and people that have like been like, you know what I mean? Like there's a whole new crop of people that like honestly, like I don't think that like you know what I mean. Like we're having a WrestleMania without Undertakers and freaking like the fact that Randy Orton might not be on the card is just like insane to think about. Maybe just because I'm old now, but like I feel like you know. I mean, shit. I mean, I guess WrestleMania was 11 years ago, so shit. I mean, god damn it.
It's crazy to think
I
about
mean,
that, really.
I don't even know what the heck. But speaking of WrestleMania, and the last thing I want to talk about before we talk about the Elimination Chamber, and I'll let you go. I know you're a busy man and got a lot to do. So, last night, Mr. Dwayne The
Mhm.
Rock Johnson showed up, and we didn't know what he was gonna say, but we did know one thing that he was gonna say, and he did announce that WrestleMania 42, yes, WrestleMania 42. We haven't even hit 41 yet, but we're already looking forward to next year, 2026. I think it's April 11th and 12th. We heading back to New Orleans. Yes, I said that. New Orleans gets their third WrestleMania in 11 or 12 years. Lucky them. I think I'm just going to move to New Orleans so I can go to all the WrestleManias. So, how do you feel about WrestleMania going back to New Orleans? And we were talking about, you said you're going to try to go this next year.
Yeah, it is on the table. It is on the table right now. At the time of us doing this, I am going to be trying my best to go to WrestleMania 42, which is only 5 hours away, and for New Orleans. So I'm looking forward to that potentially. Um, we look at. I think I think WWE is trying to appease these bigger markets and these bigger cities um for WrestleMania and a lot of these PLEs that we are seeing like Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series and stuff like that. So they were getting to the point where they're trying to do that. We're going to see them get into Saudi. We're going to see them do UK and all that. Um, so I feel like it's a cool
I'm,
thing for them to be back there. I mean, we look at the history. Um, with them having WrestleMania in New Orleans. The last time they were there was 34 back in 2018. Um, that one was a very interesting one. I feel like the two biggest things to come out of that for me personally, I know we did get the long way to John Cena Undertaker match, which didn't really play out to a lot
awful.
of people. What a lot of people didn't expect. I think this may be a hot take. One of the best matches on the card was between Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander in the kickoff show for the cruiserweight title. It was probably my favorite matches from that show. The triple threat for the IC title was really good. Um, Main event really wasn't the best. We know we got
What was the
AJ
main
and
event? I
Shinsuke.
forgot.
Roman and Brock was the main event.
It's it fucking was. It was
And
Brock and
then
Roman again. That's
then we
right.
had Shinsuke and
Oh my god.
AJ.
We
That
really
match was
saw that at
underwhelming.
yeah. See, I feel
And
like it was a good match, but the ending was stupid, and Shinsuke should have won.
he should have won. And I feel like that's what I think about it too. And then yeah, we got that. That's the show where we got Nicholas teaming with Braun Strowman to become tag team champions. We got to see the return of Daniel Bryan. That was one of the biggest things,
Do you think he'll
takeaways.
return next year?
I mean,
Fucking imagine. I
he's
would
always
shit
had
my
big
pants.
moments at New Orleans, so who's to say he doesn't make another few
Everyone in New
returns?
Orleans so far, he's fucking.
And then you go back to WrestleMania 30. That's where the streak ended. That's where Daniel Bryan pulled double duty, where he pretty much faced Triple H and then ended up facing for the
He
titles.
defeated
I think
Evolution, man. What you mean?
you know what? I think I have an idea of
Go.
what we could be seeing. We might be getting now. This is not going to happen at WrestleMania 42. I think it's going to happen at WrestleMania 41.
Okay. I thought you were gonna
If
say 43. I was
no,
scared.
no, no. I think I think we are going to see some way, somehow, Cena's probably going to win, right? The favor that CM Punk does have, he's going to use it to interject himself, but The Rock is going to do everything in his power to reject that, to keep him out of the main event, because there is history between both CM Punk and The Rock, right? And CM Punk gives me like almost like Stone Cold Steve Austin vibes, where he just rebels against the system, right? And I feel like you could have a story where he has to go through the Daniel Bryan type story, right? Not saying that he's gonna have the yes move or anything like that, but he has to go through, maybe like The Rock if they do have The Rock compete, right? We get CM Punk and The Rock, right? And if he does win, he gets added. Or if The Rock wins, he gets added. I could see something like that playing out in the lead up to WrestleMania, because I think the way they're playing the seeds is we could be seeing maybe Cody Rhodes turn. You could be seeing John Cena turn with him, displaying a little bit more heel-esque type of vibes when he had the press conference after the Rumble, where he says, I deserve to be the champion. I'm going to do what's best for business. I'm doing what's best for me. So I think if you want to double down on that and expand upon that, maybe you can have maybe John Cena turn heel going into WrestleMania. And we know John Cena and CM Punk have a lot of history. So you can play with that as well. So we don't know. But I think it's safe to say, for me personally, I think CM Punk needs to be in one of the main events at WrestleMania 41.
Yeah. I mean, I think even if they somehow, I mean, I know it'd be stupid, and I was even thinking about, I'd love to see Cena, Punk, and Cody in a triple threat if they,
I
you know,
think that's the play.
I mean, I don't know. I just think it would be something, or I don't know. Should be very interesting to see again, and a lot can happen in 58 days. Before the last thing I want to talk about, and if there's anything I missed, you could let me know. But The Rock is taking souls now. I did not know The Rock is Undertaker's buddy now. So last night, The Rock said that he's taking Cody Rhodes' soul. And
Yeah.
luckily, I am safe because I am a ginger and I don't have his soul. So we safe here on Tino's time. But the Rock taking Cody's soul. What the hell does that mean? And what do you
I
think about what the hell The Rock showed up and did last night after he
see
announced WrestleMania 42?
I understand what they were trying to do. It's just I feel like they kind of just wasted time on the show where, they could have cut maybe 7 to 8 minutes of The Rock talking, gibberish, and instead of just getting straight to the point, and we could have saved that 7 to 8 minutes for something else in the show. I know Liv and Naomi, that match got cut and it was just relegated to like a 60 second like beatdown. So
Literally. I kind of forgot that match was even going on, and Naomi came out, and then I was just like, oh yeah, they were supposed to have a match.
yeah, and it was supposed to, and I feel like that just got cut because of The Rock. Now, him taking his soul is really, they could have said anything.
Is this like a My Rise storyline?
Please, I hope not. I don't want to play that storyline if that's the case. But I feel like what's going to happen is that we are going to see um similar to going into WrestleMania 17, I believe it was. I think it was Stone Cold and The Rock at that show. And Vince McMahon was trying to get into the ear of Stone Cold to be the Vince McMahon's champion, right? And what happened? Stone Cold sold his soul to Vince McMahon and became his champion to beat The Rock at WrestleMania. So I think we are in the we're gonna see something reminiscent of 17, and I feel like we might not get the quote unquote answer that we're looking for at Chamber, but I think at the very best, we're going to see more seeds be planted at that show between The Rock and Cody, because we know The Rock is expecting Cody Rhodes' answer on that show. So I feel like they might not give us the answer, but they might tease some more stuff. And then maybe at WrestleMania, we do see the full turn of Cody following in the same footsteps as Stone Cold, where like I said, Stone Cold sold his soul to Vince McMahon, and we see Cody Rhodes do the same thing for The Rock, and he becomes his champion. And what better way to do that and stamp his approval as a heel by being one of the biggest baby faces that there ever is in a WWE ring, that being the 16-time world champion, John Cena. And then post WrestleMania, you can have John Cena go on that chase of trying to get that championship, and maybe you can implement other people getting involved with that. If we see Rock get what he wants and get Cody on his side, we could see somebody else like a Roman Reigns step up to the plate, and he might feel some type of way like, what is The Rock doing? Now the roles are reversed because people want to see Cody and Roman go back for the third time, but this time the roles are reversed. The first two times that we seen Cody and Roman face each other, Roman was the heel, Cody was the face, but now a couple months on, we have Roman as the face and Cody as the heel, now it's a different dynamic than it was the first two going, stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the ultimate way I could see this playing out. It's not going to be one of these things where we're going to automatically see him turn heel at Chamber, which I wouldn't be mad at, but I think knowing Triple H and this regime that we are in, he's not going to just capitalize on something right then and there. He's going to want to take us on this ride of ups and downs before we get to the ultimate reveal, which I can see being maybe at WrestleMania or at SummerSlam at the very latest.
Well, I think we're just gonna all have to wait and see what happens next Saturday with The Rock and see what the hell he means by taking souls and all of that, because that was confusing and everything. But as you said, that just took up a lot of time. And I mean, that's just what we expect with The Rock. And with the 3-hour show, I even said it when I posted the advertisement for the show yesterday. I mean, there's no reason to cut matches when it's 3 hours. I mean, there's a way to fill everybody in, and let's not go to 60,000 commercial breaks.
Yeah.
So let's get to the chat. Let's see what we got. I see a lot of comments from J-Dog and everything else. But we got Delgado in the house. What's up, Delgado? Appreciate you coming in. What's up, Hassan? I appreciate you. Let's get to J-Dog's first question. Everyone comparing J-Dog read your mind, comparing it to Stone Cold and Vince. Who's going to sell their soul? You're absolutely right. And honestly, once you mentioned that, I didn't even think about that, because you're absolutely right. That's exactly what happened. Do you think Seth versus Roman happens at Chamber? Because I mean, I feel like we kind of already talked about this one, but
I think Roman's going to cause Seth. Maybe Punk gets in the way, he end up eliminated too, something along the lines of that. But we're gonna get at least some type of interference in the Chamber match. I feel like this year, compared to the previous years, we're gonna get interference in probably both chambers.
Yeah. Do you like the Elimination Chamber matches being to be a qualifier to face the champion, or do you like it being for the championship?
It depends on the story that they're telling, right? If it makes sense, like for Rhea Ripley, right? She's being very dominant. I would have preferred her defending the title in the Chamber, but I feel like they're kind of getting to where they are now, where they're trying to, where we've been seeing a lot of people get injured in the lead up to WrestleMania, so they try to play it safe with their champions going into WrestleMania. So I can understand with them maybe doing one-on-one qualifying matches or qualifying matches for the title at Mania. I mean, going back to what I was talking to with you earlier when you watched the stream that I did with Jugs, and we were watching old Chamber matches. They always used to do one for the title, and the other used to be a number one contendership for whoever's going to challenge for the championship at WrestleMania. So I wish that was something that we could have gone back to, and at least with the setup that we are seeing for, at least on the women's side, former world champions and Roxanne Perez, who's a former NXT Women's Champion, a former NXT Tag Team Champion. So this is going to be a very interesting chamber because of what's involved and the people that are involved and who could potentially be stepping up to Rhea at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think I know people haven't liked the build yet, but I do think it's gonna build up a lot once we hit after the Elimination Chamber, because we have all of March and the 2 weeks of April, but where we don't have anything besides build and build and build. Now that the Super Bowl's over and everything, I see you be dabbling in the Super Bowl live streams and everything too, man.
Yeah, I've been kind of.
Look at you. How you feel?
Trying to get into it.
How do you feel about that Super Bowl? That was awful. What's up, Danny?
It was very one-sided. Like, me personally, from watching Super Bowls in the past, it was always very competitive from start to finish. And I felt like with the Kansas City Chiefs just having the run they were on all year, I would have been off rip thinking this is going to probably be a very competitive back and forth game from start to finish, where whoever won they barely got the win.
Yeah, it sucks that it was the last football game we had to watch till September. That's how I feel. Who do you think attacked Jade Cargill?
You know what? And I'm glad you brought up this question. What I think is going to happen, right? People have been saying maybe it's Jade Cargill. Maybe not Jade Cargill.
Jade Cargill attacked Jade Cargill. I mean,
maybe. We've seen some people.
Eddie Thorpe attacked Eddie Thorpe, so
maybe Bianca did it, or maybe Naomi did it, right? I think this is what happened. I think, and what WWE does a lot of times, they make you think it's gonna be this one person or the other person. But what do we see with the New Day? A lot of people said Xavier Woods was the one that was gonna turn heel, and people thought Kofi was just gonna be the one that got turned on. But no, they did a whole 180, and both guys turned heel. I
Didn't
think we're going
expect
to
that
see
to
something
happen.
again with Bianca and Naomi. I think both of them had something to do with Jay Cargill attacked. Now here's the kicker. Naomi is the one that attacked her. Naomi's the one that attacked Jay Cargill, but Bianca was the one that put out the hit on Jay Cargill, and she's the one that told her to do it. I think both of them have something to do with it, but one did it, and the other, pretty much gave the orders to do so.
Okay. I I mean, you're absolutely right, and I think that's the thing. Like, even like we were talking about winning predictability, like we don't even know who the hell's gonna turn heel anymore. I mean, when the New Day did that, and when they did that to Big E, man, I was watching. I was like, damn, they savage for that shit. I mean, like, I feel
Yeah,
like they had to apologize to Big E backstage because, like, I mean, Jesus Christ.
they went
I
in.
mean, it just they did. I mean, and that's the thing. You're absolutely right. I didn't even honestly think about that because they showed Liv and Raquel like sneaking over,
Leaving, yeah.
but they didn't show what Naomi was doing when Naomi was standing next to the thing that they put. I can't think of the name.
The
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 thing that
uh
they
the ambulance.
yeah, the ambulance, but the cart that they put the people on. I can't think of the name of it. Oh, the gurney or the stretcher. There we go.
Yeah.
The stretcher. We always know the first person to be there, just like when Carlito attacked Dragon Lee. Carlito was the first person there. Let's be real here. Come on now. With the
Yeah,
shenanigans.
and
We are
even
supposed to find out that answer on Monday, though, I saw. So hopefully.
mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens. Who's Moose? J Dog, go watch TNA.
Yeah.
That's all
You're missing
you
out
need.
though, J Dog. If you don't know who Moose is, you're missing out.
Yeah, you're missing out. I know who Moose is, and I don't even watch TNA like that. Ricky Saints against Wesley next Tuesday.
It was a tag match.
Wesley is savage now, man.
Yeah, I just still can't get over the fact that he cut his dreads, bro.
I know. He looks weird. When do you think Malachi Black shows up? If he shows up, because I guess it's when, because I feel like it only makes sense, right? With Zelina there.
I feel like if it's gonna be a WrestleMania match, if they want to do Finn Balor versus somebody at WrestleMania, then maybe we'll do that.
Would be good.
Maybe
they
we'll
should
get
do like
that.
like they did with Seth and Cody is what they should do if it is because like gonna be something like that. Like I think that would be cool. Like I love that with Seth. I thought that was so cool.
Well, I
when we were
think
trying to figure
the
out
only
who
thing
Seth was
is
facing.
we know that with Seth, he had we didn't know what his story was going into WrestleMania, but that's when we know what the story is potentially with the Judgment Day, them bringing in a new member. Now, I feel like the new member is going to come in before WrestleMania to set that up because we're gonna have to see the turn of Dominic and everybody else on Finn for them to bring him in. So I think that makes the most sense. So I feel like, unlike how it was with Seth and Cody, I don't think that's going to be the play here. I think it's going to be before Mania. And if they're trying to drag the story on a little bit longer, then maybe you wait till the Raw after Mania. Because that used to be the thing back in the days where on the Raw after Mania we saw debuts and returns and stuff like that, and maybe shocking title changes. So they might want to load that card up for the Raw after Mania to really set the tone for what the rest of the year could be.
I mean, man, it's gonna be really interesting to see what could happen. I mean, like they said they're planning a movie. They're planning a pay-per-view at the end of the year in December called Ruthless Aggression for John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to see about all of that. Where was the question? Oh, how do you feel about the Street Profits?
I love them. I love what they're doing. I just need them to potentially get the tag titles this time around, but I don't know because they have been building other stories with DIY as champions. I know people look at the Street Profits as heels. I don't really look at them as heels. I feel like they're more of just faces with an edgier side to them, where they're pretty much almost like take no prisoners. They're trying to get Motor City Machine Guns out there because they don't want them to get the tag titles. Pretty much what they're trying to do is that if anybody's going to take the titles from DIY, They want it to be them. They don't want it to be Motor City. They don't want it to be Los Lotharios and stuff like that. They don't want it to be them. They don't want it to be um anybody or Pretty Deadly. They don't want it to be any of them but them. But like you said earlier, it's leading to a multi-man tag team. And I feel like the two teams that you should be looking at to become your next tag team champions, either Pretty Deadly, because they have been teasing that feud between those two for quite some time with them turning face, and also Street Profits, because Street Profits have been getting very close to becoming tag team champions, but it's always some type of shenanigans that always come into play as reasons why they do not win.
Yeah. I don't think you said it on the on what and what we were talking about, but did you say who you have winning the chamber matches?
I don't.
Yeah, you don't
Men.
have to if you got to make you want to make people watch your episode. You don't have to tell nothing to nobody.
I mean, people already know who I'm probably gonna pick, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, so how do you feel? Also, we saw another return. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot that's been going on. Miss Alexa Bliss returned after being gone for 2 years. After
Yeah,
being, and the
man.
last time we saw her was at the 2023 Royal Rumble. She returned this year
It
at
was
the Royal
poetic.
Rumble. Huh?
Very poetic. It was very poetic. The same
Wasn't it?
pay-per-view where she left, the same pay-per-view where she returns. I like the gear that she had on, where it says like we had the little the six on the doll, and then you had like the Fiend Friends Forever. Love that jacket. I wish they were selling it on WWE Shop because I might have to cop me one. Um, but I feel like what we're doing now is we're telling the story of her joining the Wyatt Six. I think that is the route that they're going to go with her as we head into WrestleMania throughout 2025. I'm glad to have her back. You have another heavy hitter. Depending on what we're doing for Mania, we were talking about U.S. titles and stuff like that. This is another woman that you can throw into that U.S. title scene over on SmackDown, and I think she can really help elevate that division, having a big name in that division to help bolster up that roster just a little bit, and potentially could be somebody that could be in the running to win the title as we head into WrestleMania and of course throughout 2025 as well. So you definitely can't sleep on her as well. But
No.
I'm glad to have her back.
And I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, I'd say, and I also think it would be cool too with the Wyatt Six. We also forget that Nikki Cross and Alexa were tag team champions and we're in a tag team. So I don't see them kicking out Nikki, but I think that was
No,
just
I
something
don't
else
think
I was
that is.
thinking
But
about too.
speaking of Chamber that we forgot to mention, if we're looking at the current, lineup, two of the women that are in this match are former Chamber winners. We have Alexa, who won the first one back in 2018 when she retained the Raw Women's Championship, and we had Bianca win in 2022. So both of these women have been, you know, won this and have went on to face the champion of their choosing, or in Alexa's case, she was the champion at the time and went into WrestleMania as champion. So people might be looking at those two as, your favorites just because they have experience and as far as winning. But I think a lot of these women in there have something to prove. I mean, Roxanne, I think she's gonna have that Tiffany Stratton type, role where she's gonna have a breakout performance. I don't think she's gonna win, but I think the thing with Alexa, she's going to remind a lot of people just how good she can really be, and probably remind people why she was a person that won it before. And same thing with Bianca. I think Bianca's that powerhouse that people just cannot seem to bet against when it comes to a lot of these matches. And I think one of the stories that's going into it is, like you said, the Jay Cargill thing. Would that be a factor to why Bianca or Naomi don't win this year? I think that might be an X factor there because that story is looming above both women, if you want to be honest. But going back to what we were saying, both Bianca and Alexa have won. But one of the other competitors that we talked about earlier was Liv. People don't understand that when it comes down to a lot of these women, she has the most experience than as anybody else. She has pretty much been in every single chamber match that we have gotten, except
Even
for
the
the
tag
inaugural
team
one.
one.
She's been. This is about to be her seventh. Her
That's sick,
seventh,
isn't
mind
it?
you. This is her
Isn't that sick?
seventh chamber match that she's about to be a part of, and I feel like
The fact there's even
people,
been that many I know she wasn't in the first few. The fact there's even been that many women chamber matches is crazy now.
because I mean she wasn't in 2018s, but she was in the tag team in 2019. She was in 2020s. She was in 2022s. She was in 2023s and 2024s. So actually, scratch that. It's her sixth chamber match. This is her
Oh my
sixth.
god, sixth. Oh my god. It's the end of
Her
the world.
sixth one. And And if you look at the history that she's had with some of these women, especially Alexa, the last time those two were in the same chamber, which was the one that Bianca won, Alexa was the one that eliminated Liv Morgan. I don't think Liv Morgan probably maybe forgot about that. Maybe she still has that in the back of her mind. Maybe she wants to get the people that are going to
Thanks.
be very detrimental to her not winning, such as an Alexa, or especially Bianca, because Bianca's going to be the biggest problem for any of these women winning.
Yeah. And I think that's gonna have something to do with Jade, because Bianca's gonna be so hard to get taken out that I think Jade's gonna have something to do with something. And maybe, I mean, I don't know. I'm very interested to see which way this goes, and I want to see Alexa versus Liv Morgan. I got excited when Liv eliminated Alexa. I
I
really
did
thought
too,
that's what we
but
were getting.
um,
I mean,
I thought
and
it
I
was going to
don't
happen, but I don't think it's going to be the case
know.
anymore, just because
I
they just
shit. I
shipped.
think Raquel and Liv can win the titles on Monday. To be honest, I mean, Jade could very well cost the Naomi and uh Bianca the titles, because people forget that Jade was the champion with Bianca
I
before
mean,
Naomi said
but
that
you know how
I
WWE
was
is.
going
They
to be
want to get
champion.
the best out of whatever they're doing. Yes, they can get something out of them costing the titles. That's fine. But knowing WWE, they want to get the best out of something happening, right?
Yeah,
Have like a J Cargill come in, and she's the reason that Bianca and Naomi probably get eliminated. I
yeah,
think if you can get those two out of there, it's pretty much fair game. But if you look at the lineup, Bailey and Roxanne kind of just cancel each other out, just for the simple fact that they have been feuding, and I feel like that might be the match come WrestleMania in some way, shape, or form. With if that is for one of the mid card titles, and Bianca and Naomi probably cancel each other out as well, because they're the only few in the bunch that are a legit tag team right now. So
yeah.
they're going to be
I
a very
feel like they
cohesive
need to have
unit.
those titles on the line if they're going to be champions to a Mania too. I don't know.
I feel like here's
Actually,
the thing, and you going back to what you said, if Liv, I think Liv, you said Liv probably does win the tag titles.
yeah,
If
I don't
that's
know.
the
I
case,
feel
I
like
also
it
think she
might.
wins the chamber. But then people are gonna be like, well, what happens if she's gonna win the chamber? We know what they're probably gonna set up. Probably Rhea, Io, Liv for the title, which I think that is the play. That's the match they're setting up. But
I
it's
have
like,
nothing
what do you
wrong with
do
that.
with Liv for the tag titles? I think maybe if you want to do it, maybe pull a double duty type thing. We've seen it with Seth Rollins last year. We've seen it with Roman and Cody. I could see her pulling double duty where she defends the tag titles in one night and then fights for the title on another night. I think if anybody's capable of doing that, I think it is her.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like you said, I mean, it's not like we haven't seen it before, and I'm surprised that hasn't happened more. I mean, again, I mean, shit, it's John Cena's last WrestleMania. Let's have him compete both nights. Fuck it, Cena, your last WrestleMania both nights. Speaking of John Cena, though, who do you have, and who's your prediction for him to face in his last match?
Ooh, in his last WWE match before retiring, right?
Yeah,
Now, there's a different few names that I think come across my mind. You could go with somebody new that he could put over on the way out, maybe like a Dominic or a Braun Breaker. Maybe someone like a Gunther, maybe. Um, I think it comes down to two guys that I feel like make sense, and one of them is CM Punk, just because of their history going back to Money in the Bank in 2011 and stuff like that. But the guy that I think is going to be his retirement match, his biggest rival, Randy Orton. I
that's
think Randy
exactly
Orton's
what
going to
I
turn
was
heel
gonna
at
say.
some point during this year, and I think that's going to be his retirement match.
We gotta get bald Randy Orton back. That's what we need. 2009 Randy Orton is what I
Ooh, I
need.
would love that. I would love that.
Releases, and I don't even know about releases, and hey, shit, she might come back, but Carmella was released, and apparently her contract ran out, so we'll have to see. But we haven't seen Carmella in a minute. I thought she was gonna return and at the
The
Rumble,
Rumble.
but I mean, we got Nikki
But I think
Bella
she's
and
still dealing
everything,
with
so
whatever it is with her foot.
with her foot, and I know she had some complications when she had the pregnancy and everything else. So I mean, people don't understand how much that takes on like a woman's body and everything. And I don't even have a
Yeah.
girlfriend or any babies. I just know from friends and everything else. Like it's a
Mhm.
lot and it's hard. So
Yeah.
hopefully, but the best for Carmella. But the baby's healthy, and that's all that matters. So we'll
Yeah.
have to see if Carmella comes back. But we saw Nikki Bella return. I was happy because you can look, but you can't touch.
The only thing with that I didn't like is the number that she came out at. I feel like I wasn't mad at her being there. I just feel like if you were going to have her be at the Rumble or come out the Rumble, I think what you should have did was switch. her and Alexa, and maybe you could have had Nikki Bella come out at 21 and then had Alexa come out at 30. Because if you want to be honest, she got one of the biggest pops of
Yeah.
the entire Royal Rumble pay-per-view.
Yeah. I think they thought that Nikki was going to be a bigger pop, but I mean, I don't think they realized how much people really missed Alexa Bliss being gone for 2
Exactly.
years. Especially with as much as she's done in championships. And I mean, she was even talking to Nia, and I forgot that she faced Nia at WrestleMania I think, wasn't that
34.
WrestleMania 34? Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy
So
to
that
think
might be a
about, like,
story that they're trying to build.
so like, I mean, it's crazy to think about like how much Alexa did before she left and she was gone for that long a period of time.
Yeah.
And again, the women's division is so hot right now in almost every division, I feel like. I mean, even in AEW, you could say what you want, but I mean, Harley Cameron's, the Mariah
She's definitely been
May's.
impressive.
I mean, they're
Like,
just.
hopefully the AEW doesn't fumble her. Please
I mean,
don't fumble Harley
hope.
Cameron, because she is having like a breakout year right now, like elevating herself. She had a brilliant, outstanding performance that she had with none other than Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship. I love that match, and I hope they can continue to build her momentum, potentially going after the title once again, maybe win it whenever she does get another opportunity.
If there's one person that needs to come back to WWE at one point, it needs to be Mercedes Moné, and I think you bring her back as Mercedes Moné. I think that'd be very interesting to see.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see what they would do.
If they have to bring anybody back, it has to be her.
Like, I'm not
I
saying
just
right
don't see.
now.
There's other people that I would love to see come back,
I'll
but I
say
think
before WrestleMania 45. I'll say in the next 4 or 5 years she'll be back
yeah.
at some point. Bayley and Roxanne will happen at some point. If it doesn't happen on a SmackDown, it might happen at a WrestleMania. We'll have to see.
If it doesn't happen at
Depending what
Mania,
people.
I could see some of these matches maybe not being on the card, but being like the Raw or SmackDown before Mania.
WrestleMania, SmackDown.
Yeah, I think that might.
I mean, you gotta have somewhere too for the treasure. Our truth with LA, Louisiana night. You know, our truth is a national treasure, bro. I need to do something with our truth. Yes, it's because he's from New Orleans. Gunther versus Dragunov does need to happen at some point. Yes, very soon. Dragunov is need. I think Dragunov is another one that will be back the night after WrestleMania.
Dragunov, yes, definitely night after Mania for me.
Trying to find. Drew's headed towards Damian Priest, supposedly. We'll see. Sheamus needs to win that Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
Roman said Daniel Bryan isn't allowed back in WWE. When was that?
No, he said on SmackDown. But that's years ago. So I don't think that really.
Again,
and plus, it was under.
We got Byron in the house. What's up, Byron? We are in the final stages of Cody Rhodes turning heel because Solo Sikoa knew about it this whole time. Just rewatch Bad Blood. I mean, could we also talk about Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania? I mean, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, Jacob
Fatu. Eric in the house. What's up, Eric? Says, I feel like whoever wins the tag titles on Monday, that's the nail in the coffin for either Liv or Bianca. We'll have to see. Who's my pick for what? To face John Cena, Randy Orton. I think that's the only way it would make sense. Shit, let's do it in a I Quit match. Let's bring that back. Kurt Angle said he will never wrestle again. He just mentioned that on the Chris Van Vliet podcast that he can't even move his neck and his fingers tingle every day because the poor guy is his neck is fused to the point where he can't do anything about it. Next year, shit, it might be by the end of this year. I give it till SummerSlam. Bree Mode will be back. Bree Mode.
Maybe they put those two in the tags and let those go after the tag titles. Probably even win.
Leo was trying to turn his light on. Don't worry about what Leo's doing with his life. But last question we got. Do you think Toni Storm coming back when her contract is up? Toni Storm was a big Triple H girl, but
it's definitely a big Triple H girl. So I would say it's one of those things where it could potentially happen. It's just if the right offer is on the table, if AEW doesn't really give her the money that she might want when it's time for her to resign, then maybe that's a possibility.
Man. That's all they care about is all that money. Money. But we got Miro, Dragunov, Becky, Trick, Wesley, possibly on the Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania. We'll see. I don't know. I don't want to.
I think Becky Lynch is going to be back for Mania, though.
because we'll see what happens. Yeah, Swerve was a Triple H guy. Swerve's another one, but again, Swerve's been doing great things, so I think
And
Swerve's
he's on like a
probably the best.
lucrative deal with AW, so I don't think he's gonna leave.
I give it WrestleMania 50 will be the year of Triple H's guys, and NXT Black and Gold will be all back together, and we'll all have a WrestleMania of NXT Black and Gold, the dark lighting and everything, little black
Because
and gold,
there's
little
some
gold
people
for
in AEW I
50.
would love to see back. There are some
Huh?
people in AEW I want to see back. There are some
I
people in
mean,
AEW that I want to see back.
yeah,
John
I mean,
Moxley is one person I want to see back.
oh my god, man, the pop and
Dude,
the
like when
chills that
you
would go
can't,
through my body to see that
bro,
man
this
back with
the
Seth and
chills
Roman.
went through my body, bro, watching WrestleMania 40 last year, hearing the Shield music, and I'm
I
like,
still rewatch it and I still get that because I still remember watching, sitting at where I was at, and I was like, oh my god, Dean Ambrose is here. Like
and
I
nope, it
really,
was Seth
really thought it was
Rollins.
gonna happen.
And it made it kind of a little bit more crazy because I think people asked them about that. They asked Mox about that. He was like, I didn't know they were playing the Shield music. I was all the way in Japan.
He said, I know, he said he was on a plane or something. It was like,
He was
it was
asleep.
so great. I mean, you just never know. But Leo, we've been here for almost an hour and a half, so I'm sure you got other things to do and everything. So we're gonna end it here. We'll have to have you back on before the end of WrestleMania and maybe during, we'll figure it out. But Leo, I appreciate you coming back on the channel, catching up with us and everything else. If there's anything you got going on during WrestleMania season, anything else you got coming up, you want to let everybody know where to go follow you is you're on the road to 2,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
You'll
man.
love to see it. And make sure,
Yeah.
guys, go watch that. Go watch his videos. We need to get those watch hours up.
Yeah, we're almost at 3,000 watch hours, you guys. We're at
Almost.
2,278 right now, so we're getting close.
So I just got to go put it on all my TVs then. I got like 6 TVs in this house.
Hey, but more content will be on the way, you guys. My channel is Kicking It with Leo, you guys. I'm going to be doing a lot more content. We do have WWE 2K25 coming out in the next 2 weeks. So I am going to be pre-ordering that game. I will be doing content for that game. What if it's My Rise or GM mode?
Did you get the Bloodline edition?
I am getting the Bloodline edition. So you guys already know. I'm going to be doing some GMO content this year with me and a couple of my buddies.
And it's online. So like we could do it like if me and you wanted to do it too. Like,
hey, man.
I hope the online works. That's all I'm worried about. Like, I want to do something like that.
So,
but
if you guys want to see that happen, y'all hit that like button, and we might have to make that happen.
It needs
Chambers next week, so I'm pretty much gonna be watching that. Raw, I'm watching Raw on Monday with the Flex Zone. Of course, you can subscribe over there if you as well. We're gonna be doing XT, AEW. Thursday is probably my predictions where I might be hosting an episode with some numerous guests. We might have to try to get Tina on there as well. Y'all stay tuned. But Friday, SmackDown, and of course, Chamber next weekend, and ultimately WrestleMania. We'll be doing stuff for that. Content will be coming up for WrestleMania probably within the next couple of weeks, as we do every month, where we do old pay-per-views and we'll watch a match or something like that. We might be doing that with me and Jug, so y'all stay tuned for that. 2K subscribers is the next goal. We're trying to get to that by WrestleMania, but the ultimate goal is 10K by the end of 2025.
I have one more question for you.
Go for it.
Is Juggernaut okay?
Yes. Yeah. It took some. I know why. I know why you asked that. I know why you asked that. I know why you asked that, because he is a Kansas City Chiefs fan. He was very heartbroken. I will say that. I had to check up on him a couple times. He is okay. He's still somewhat processing everything because he was so close to getting that 3-peat. So yeah.
Man, that guy, he's a funny guy. We love Juggernaut. But Leo, I appreciate you, man, making time coming in here. Sorry it went a little bit over the usual, but always good to have you on. It was good to catch up. So, man, enjoy the rest of your day. And everybody enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Go follow all the social medias. Go and follow Leo on Kicking It with Leo, all that good stuff. Go follow Tino's Time, all the social medias. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn that notification button on. Guys, we will not be here tomorrow, but we'll be back on Monday night for another Raw live stream. And another week, as it's WWE Chamber Week. And we're going to find out as it's the last pit stop before WrestleMania. Guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll see you all Monday night for Monday Night Raw.